Hi, my name is Paige, and I'm a part of a research team called Political Researchers in Social Media. Today, we're going to cover our research published called Survey Data and Social Media Research, Findings and Observations. The results were of a team effort from myself, Pranaav, Jadhav, Simran, Kumari, and Austin Toy under the research team supervisor of Professor Stuart Brotman. So the research agenda we came across because there have been inaccuracies in some high-profile surveys that have raised questions on the effectiveness of traditional survey methods. So in a time of when a growing proportion of national political discourse takes place on social media, we believed it was important to conduct a sentiment analysis that we hoped would provide value to traditional survey methods. So our research scope of the project of PRISM was designed to observe similarities and differences between selected survey data and social media research findings. The recordings were within a time frame of 4 months, of August 2021 to November 2021. And so now we'll introduce our methodology. So the research team only included those with national issues. So we started with 5 colleges and universities, but consequently 2 of those did get eliminated, and we shifted our focus to Monmouth, Quinnipiac, and Marist. Additionally, our survey organization selection was based on 3 factors: prominence, recency, and data publication. So all surveys had to meet these 3 factors, or they were not included. So now we'll introduce our organizations, first beginning with Monmouth.
Yeah, one of the survey organizations we looked at was Monmouth University in New Jersey, and they do a lot of national polls about current events, so they were perfect for what we were looking for. And their methodology, like a lot of traditional survey organizations, Monmouth, they use random digit dialing to talk to adults in the United States over the phone usually. And if we go over to their selected surveys list, you can see that mostly what the surveys were dealing with was the pandemic and political unrest. And now Pranaav will tell you a little bit about Quinnipiac.
So the Quinnipiac University, based in Connecticut's mission is to provide timely, accurate, nonpartisan public opinion research on both the state and national levels. And the methodology used by Quinnipiac University is the same as what Austin said. And here is a list of the selected surveys for Quinnipiac University.
Marist College was the last survey organization we looked into for the purpose of our research. Its mission is to foster and advance the understanding of public opinion polls. Its core components and methodology is similar to what Austin described in the previous slide. As for the selected surveys, they were based on the commonality that they shared with the selected surveys of the previous 2 survey organizations.
So now that you've heard a little bit about our introduction and what surveys and organizations that we use to conduct the research, we want to touch base on the software we use for the sentiment analysis, which is Salesforce Social Studio, which we were able to take advantage of right here at UTK in the Adam Brown Social Media Command Center. So a little bit about Social Studio. It's a one-stop solution to manage, schedule, create, and monitor posts. It can be used to organize posts by brand, region, multiple teams, and individuals, all in one unified interface. And then, of course, in addition to those capabilities, it also offers powerful real-time publishing and engagement opportunities.
Right, findings and observations are common denominator analysis. The themes we were looking for were ones that overlap between all 3 organizations. And we basically came down to 4 big themes: COVID, President Biden, voting, and American system and their subcategories. So let's take a look at one of the themes just to kind of show how we compiled our data and what that looks like. Here we can see the total volume of tweets as well as the days with the highest and lowest volume. And I also notice the word cloud over here that shows like what other words people were using when they posted about COVID and vaccines. Social Studio also allows us to see the top influencers for a given topic. So in this case, these are influencers who are posting about COVID and vaccines. We've broken them down into 3 categories: media, individuals, and organizations. And that number next to their name is the number of Twitter followers that they have. And if we flip to the next slide here, we have the survey data on COVID and vaccines from our 3 survey organizations. We can see in this particular question, over 70% of respondents to the traditional survey organization said that they either had already had a COVID vaccine or were planning to get one. But when we compare that to the Social Studio sentiment analysis, we see that there was a negative sentiment 52.6% of the time on social media, which is a discrepancy that we often see when we're comparing these two.
So we looked at how Austin described at every theme, and then we placed them all together and kind of had a bird's eye view on our research. And this is what we found: the top common organizations, the top common media, and the top common individuals across all themes. Similarly, the least common organizations, the least common media organizations, and the least common individuals. So they were maybe reflected only in 1 or 2 surveys. So that's how that they were chosen. Here is the sentiment, which was the highest positive was for President Biden and approval. The highest negative was for voting and fraud. The highest volume of tweets by number was for COVID and vaccines. The lowest was for President Biden and approval. The most common word was COVID, and the least common word was love. And why this research topic is important is because, we found out that there may exist a correlation, but more often than not, there are differences between survey research and what we find on social media. And because social media has become such a household thing across America, it's important to study social media in an analytical form of way to understand the pulse of what's happening in the US now, to better analyze and to better research the political outcomes in the US.
As for future research directions, while we were working on the project, given the time constraint and the knowledge we all gained, we noticed that PRISM's social media analysis was subjected to the following restrictions. For example, geographically, we couldn't go beyond continental United States. English was the only language that was considered. Social media platform that we looked at extensively was Twitter. Media influencers were only limited to 5 per category, and the social media content analysis was done on macro level. Social Studio can generate different results with the addition of, let's say, more regions and countries like Europe, like in Europe and Russia, Asia, more languages like French and Spanish, more social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, similarly, more media influencers, as many as 100 per category, and we can really micro-analyze the tweets of these influencers. We also noticed that current survey research does not analyze concurrent social media analysis and vice versa. Enabling an expansion of capabilities in both situations would be helpful, which brings me to why this research would be helpful for students. We all live in a generation of social media, and as we all know, our current generation is all on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So this research would actually show students how the survey research results that we found on paper are not necessarily always accurate and compatible with the social media analysis when we take that into consideration.